To start, this is not a cheap Les Paul, and it is definitely not for everyone, but I'm going to explain to you guys today why I think it is still a great guitar. This is a 2011 Gibson Les Paul Standard Professional Premium finished in iced tea burst with a AAA flamed maple top. It's made in the Nashville, USA factory and has a solid rosewood fretboard. This era of Gibson gets a lot of criticism on paper, mostly because of the chambering and some of the spec changes that Gibson was making around this time. I used to hesitate on these guitars, but actually playing one like this changes the conversation quite quick. One thing that always comes up on this era, especially around the 2011 to 2012 models, is the fingerboards. Gibson did use laminated fingerboards on some models during this period, so it's a fair question. The nice thing is that you do not have to guess. You can contact Gibson directly with the serial number and they can check the original spec sheet and tell you exactly what the guitar left the factory with. I did that with this one and Gibson confirmed it had a solid rosewood fretboard, not a laminate board. You can sometimes tell visually as well. If the nut were removed, you'd be able to see the exposed wood in the nut slot. It's harder to tell on a Les Paul Standard because of the binding up the size of the neck. And I'm not about to take the nut off, so either way, I'm glad that Gibson confirmed it using the serial number. As soon as you pick this guitar up, the first thing you notice is the weight. This example weighs in at 7.6 pounds, which for a Les Paul is noticeably lighter than what I'm used to. Standing up, it's balanced, sitting down, it's comfortable, and it still feels solid and substantial, just without that shoulder fatigue. That lighter weight is honestly a big part of why this guitar surprised me. As far as the neck and overall playability, this guitar has an asymmetrical neck carve and it feels great. It's comfortable all the way up the fretboard and it never feels too bulky or awkward. Chords feel natural, lead lines feel smooth, and the guitar just gets out of the way when you're playing. This is one of those guitars where you stop thinking about the neck and you just play. As far as condition, this guitar is in really good shape overall. There's a little bit of fret wear, a couple little nicks and dings on the headstock, but overall, it's in good shape. The truss rod works perfectly with plenty of life left. The intonation and tuning stability are excellent. There's no breaks, no cracks, and no repairs. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some of the specs that have been changed. To start things off, from the factory, this guitar came with Burstbucker Pro pickups, locking Grover tuners, and Gibson's locking output jack. It still has all of those things. But some major changes that have been done is that the wiring harness has been upgraded to a custom shop style 1959 hand-wired harness with CTS 500K pots and paper and oil capacitors. There's no coil splits anymore, and it is just a straightforward vintage style setup that really opens up the guitar. I spoke with the previous owner and he said that after changing to these non-coil split CTS 500K pots, the sound was a lot more open and it let the guitar have room to breathe. If you were blindfolded, I don't think you'd immediately guess that this was chambered. I used to lump these in with modern Les Pauls and move on, but actually living with this one completely changed my perspective. It's not a custom shop reissue, and it's not trying to be a 59 spec Les Paul. It's a player's Les Paul. It's comfortable, reliable, and it is inspiring to play. For some context, I also own a Gibson Les Paul Traditional. Compared to that, this one's about 1.5 pounds lighter, and it's super noticeable. After a long session or playing standing up for a while, that difference really adds up. The Traditional still feels great, but this one is way more comfortable to play over time, and you don't feel that same shoulder fatigue. I'll say this though, I do personally prefer my 2013 Traditional. They're closer to vintage spec, and that's usually my thing, but honestly, that doesn't ruin this guitar at all. This 2011 still does its own thing really well, and the lighter weight and feel actually make it a guitar I reach for more than I expected. So even though my preference leans towards the vintage specs, this 2011 has still completely won me over. At this point, talking's only going to get you so far, so let's actually hear this thing plugged in, and I'll run through a few different tones so you can hear how this thing responds. Thank you guys for watching, and if you guys did enjoy, make sure to subscribe and check out the other videos just like this one on my channel. Thank you.